Good morning, everybody. What we're going to do today is learn about the interquartile range and how to find the interquartile range. Now, quartile, you'll see the word quart in there. Quartile refers to fourths. So what we're going to do is take this data set and break it into 4 equal parts so that we can find the highest quartile and the lowest quartile and find the difference between the two, or the range between the two. So the first point that we need to make is that you got to put your data points in order. So we have to put the data points in order. And I've done that already for you. That seemed like a waste of time for you to watch me put numbers in order, so I did that. The next thing that we'll need to do is find the median of the data set. So here's the data set in order right here, and we're going to need to find the midpoint. To do that, I need to know how many data points are in my data set. I can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 data points. And here's where I have to apply a little bit of my number sense, that I'm trying to find the midpoint here. So I need to find about halfway, and halfway in between 0 and 10 would be 5, or between 1 and 10 would be 5. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then draw a line, and that's my midpoint. And what that leaves me with is half of my data on the lower half and the other half of my data on the upper half. So we'll call this the lower half. Sorry about the writing. And we'll call this the upper half. And what we're looking for is the median. So understanding counting numbers and applying some number sense, the whole number halfway in between 28 and 30 is 29. But I could have added 28 and 30 and got 50, got 58. And 58 divided by 2 would have been 29. So 29 is our median. So our next part that we need to do is find our median of the lower half and our median of the upper half. So looking at my lower half, I see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers, which would make the number 22 our lower quartile, or our first quartile. And they use those terms pretty much interchangeably, so you need to know what these mean. And on the upper half, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my middle number would be 22. I can see clearly that I have 2 numbers on one side of 32 and 2 numbers. So this is my middle number. On the upper half, 32 is my upper quartile, or my first quartile. That's my third quartile. Back to here, I know I have my middle number because I have 2 on one side of my first quartile and 2 on the other, so that has to be the median. Well, first and third, I bet you're wondering, well, what would the second quartile be? Actually, the midpoint, the midpoint would be the second quartile. Oh, my writing is ugly. So we have found, try and find a new color. We have found our lower quartile, which was the lower quartile, or the first quartile, and we found our upper quartile, which would be the upper quartile or the third quartile. It's the third quartile or our upper quartile. Our last step, you're almost there, people, hang in there, is to find the interquartile range. We have a quartile that's our lowest quartile, and then we have our quartile, which is the highest quartile. The range is the difference between the highest and the lowest. So simply put, I'm going to take 32 and subtract 22 will get me a 10 as my answer. So the interquartile range is equal to 10. And it is really just that simple. I hope that clears some things up. If it doesn't, then we will watch the next video, which will be example 3.